Hello everyone. This video is a walkthrough of how to record classes. So just so you know, there have been a few of these that we've sent out, but what we're trying to do here is make one clean, as short as possible, heavily indexed, trying to stay away from the rabbit holes, walking you through the process of how do you record a class. Okay, so what we're going to walk through, it's actually kind of two steps, one in Canvas Zoom and one in Panopto. And what that will do is at the end of this video, we'll have walked you through how to set up a recurring recording and class session, have it moved automatically into Canvas, and have it then the last step will automatically put it in the class where you want it. So for example, instead of ending up in this weird folder that stuff ends up that a lot of you have found out about, it's actually going to go directly into your basket weaving 101 class or 102, wherever you want it to go. Okay, so let's walk through this. We're going to walk you through the process. If for some reason this doesn't meet your needs, you're welcome to do it your own way or a way that you found or something that works better for your class. But we really kind of view this as the accepted Bates way. We've done a lot of work on this to try and scale it down as much as possible and clean it up. So this is walking through the steps of recording your session. So the first thing, obviously, is you need to schedule your session. Okay, so we're going to click on Zoom, and I said we're going to limit the rabbit holes, but here's one of them we have to take. People call and say, I don't have my Zoom link or my Panopto Recordings link or other ones, but these are the two we're talking about today. If that ever happens to you, you simply go down to Settings and click on the Navigation tab up here, and you'll see all of the things that are active in the left-hand navigation menu. If something's missing, simply go down here, click on it, and click on Enable, and that will move it from the disabled to the enabled. You can also move stuff down by disabling it. You can also move stuff around so it's in the order that you want. So once you've done that and dialed it in, please, please, please remember to click Save. And now my left-hand navigation menu looks the way I want it. Okay, that was a rabbit hole, sorry, but we get a lot of calls about that, so let's move into it. So we're going to start by clicking on Zoom. Okay, and that should open up. By the way, if it doesn't, just click on that link that opens it up. Sometimes there's security issues on computers, but we get to this page and we're going to schedule this meeting. Let's assume, it's the week before the quarter starts. I click on schedule a new meeting and I go in and schedule it. So we'll skip a lot of this stuff. You put the name of the class, the time, the description, whatever you want, when your first meeting is, the duration. This is how long you expect it to go. Be aware that it doesn't shut off the meeting after an hour or something like that. You can stop after 15 minutes. You can stop after 6 hours. It doesn't matter. This is just as far as the calendar invite. It's telling your students, oh, there's a classroom lecture February 3rd that's going to go from 2 o'clock until 3 o'clock. Okay, so that's what that does. The button that we do care deeply about, this is the first one, is recurring meeting. So we click that, and almost all of you are going to want to switch from daily to weekly, and then you choose what day. So if you've got, for example, in Basket Weaving 101, they meet Monday, you click on Monday. Make sure you deselect the one that's already selected, which in this case, because we're recording on Thursday, is Thursday. So do Monday, Wednesday, whatever it is you want, okay? And then put an end date. Now, this is important. Make sure you get this part right. Make sure you put an end date. Make sure you get the right days, because if you mess something up on this, there's a high probability, because of the way these are created. Basically, it creates, in this case, if we're talking about 7 occurrences, it creates 7 different occurrences. It doesn't create one thing that happens 7 times. So you're going to have to go in and hand delete each one of those. We've had that happen where people have had to go and delete dozens of lectures because they set it up wrong. So double, triple check. Make sure that this is right. Make sure you put an end date in there, because again, this is going to copy over next quarter and it might be wrong. So make sure you put an end date. Don't just assume that it's going to, it'll be fine till the end of the quarter, because when you copy this over into spring, those meetings are copying over. So dial this in, get it right, make sure it's right, and then we move on. Next up is security. We'll leave that to you. I always recommend put the least amount of security that you can while still keeping the class safe. Okay, so we want to protect student privacy. We want to stop students from sabotaging our class. But on the other hand, every problem that pops up is one that you have to deal with in addition to teaching the class, like emailing students the password that lost it or looking at the waiting room. So find an acceptable level of security that keeps your classes secure, but also allows you to focus on instructing. Okay, I always turn the participants' video and audio off. It avoids catastrophes. And then the one that we care deeply about, second one, is record the meeting automatically. So make sure you check that and make sure that in the cloud is selected. We don't want on the local computer. If it does that, it will record it to your computer, and then you'll have to manually upload, which is more work and takes up a ton of space on your computer. So just record it in the cloud, and again, automatically it's going to end up in Canvas. We'll talk about that later, but this all happens automatically. Okay, if you have a co-teacher, put that in, and then we click on Save. And the key is either here or on the other page. Please, 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 please make sure you write down that meeting ID. So 856-6318-9794. Okay? All right. And just so you know, if you forget, it will be here on your Zoom page, but we're going to need that in about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay? So we're going to close Zoom. We've scheduled it. And the thing that's critical about this is, you've scheduled a meeting and it's recurring, and that was pretty simple and all that. But more importantly, if you click on Calendar, it now put all of those meetings on your calendar, and it put it on all your students' calendars. By the way, second rabbit hole, sorry, but if you can't find it, go over to your calendars and make sure that this class is turned on, because if it's turned off, then it won't show up on the calendar. So you notice, oh my goodness, it's vanished. No, it hasn't. I just go over to old RCE class, which is the class that I was using, toggle that back on, and you'll see all those appointments are there. Okay? Most of you don't need to deal with this, but do be aware you can only have 10 calendars active at a time. So for those of you who teach, 23 classes, sorry, you're going to have to choose on that. Okay? But all these are in here, and the nice thing about this, in addition to putting a reminder in for you, it puts it in for your students, it gives them the time, and it also puts in the Zoom link. So all they have to do is look at either their desktop version of this or their app on their phone. They have the reminder that's there. They just click on the link and they're taken to your Zoom meeting room. So that just took a whole lot of work off your plate. Okay, so before we go look at those recordings, let's talk about what we've accomplished. By just doing this one simple task, you have now scheduled a meeting, you've made it recurring, you have told it to record automatically, it will automatically move it into Canvas, and it put a reminder in both your calendar and your students' calendars with the link so that they can attend. So that's a pretty effective use of, whatever that took 3 minutes to get that done. All right, so let's go back into our RCE class. All right, and let's talk about the recording. So you made the recording, it was at Zoom, it then instantly moved back into Canvas, which, by the way, that is why when you get those reminders that say you have a Zoom recording and you click on it and it says it's not there, you can always ignore those Zoom recordings, because what's happened is it made the recording, and as soon as it was done, Panopto moved it into Canvas. So that email that you get that frustrates you because you click on the link and it's not there, that's going to happen every time. Just ignore that reminder, because Zoom's telling you it's there, but Panopto's already moved it. Okay, second problem we run into with everybody is they click on Panopto, and then there are no recordings there. And they say, wait, or you say, hey, I just recorded a class, it should be there. This actually makes sense. It doesn't automatically put things directly where your students can see it, because you might not want that. Something might have happened. You may not want to make it available. It could be you're reviewing a quiz or something like that. So it puts it in your own private folder, and you have to manually move it to the class. So what you do is I go into here, and instead of old RCE class, I'm going to change the folder to, for most of you, it's meeting recordings. It might also be my recordings, but click on that. And ta-da, there's all of those missing recordings that we were looking for. So that's where it is. All right, we can manually move it. If you put your mouse over a video, don't click on it because that tells it to play it. Just click on Settings. And we can edit anything, but what we want is what folder it's in right here. And we're going to click on edit and move it from meeting recordings into old RCE class, or again, our basket weaving 1 or whatever we want. Okay, so we do that and click on save. Okay, and now you'll see that it's been moved to there. Okay, so that's how you move it manually. Again, if we're doing 2 lectures a week, that's 20 times we're going to have to do that. We don't want to do that. So we're going to click on this icon here, the little square with the arrow that says open in Panopto. By the way, for those of you who want the URL to just type it in and bookmark it, this is going to take us to bates.hosted.panopto.com. So we click on the arrow, and you'll notice it took us to our own personal page at bateshostedpanopto.com. Okay, and we're going to do a few clicks, so I'll try and go slow, but it's just kind of click, click, click in order to do it. We really don't have to do that much. So you click on your name, and then we're in a pop-up menu, and we click on user settings. So we want to get to our settings, and you'll notice it's selected info, and down here at the bottom it says meeting import settings, which is exactly what we want. When it imports that recording, we want it to go to a very specific place. All right, so we go to meeting import settings and click add new. And remember I said write that down. This is where you're going to need that number. So it says what's the meeting, and we type in the ID. In our case it's 856 6318 9794. Okay, and we tell it what folder, meaning what class, what Canvas class we want it to end up in. So this is where you're going to put your basket weaving 101, or in my case, old RCE class. That's it. 2 things. What's the meeting ID, and where do you want it to go? And when we're done, we click on save. And that is it. If we do those 2 tasks, set it up in Zoom, and then go to Panopto and tell it where to go, it now does the entire process. It schedules the meeting, it records the meeting, it moves the meeting into your classroom for your students to see and make it available to them. And I have now done this for the entire quarter with these 2 steps. Okay, so I'm going to click on close. There we are. And that really is it. I know there's some other questions people run into. Feel free to give us a call about, moving and copying and stuff like that. But I promised we were going to keep this simple. So those are your 2 tasks. Go into Zoom and set up the meeting. Go into Panopto and tell it where to move it. And that's it. As always, any questions, let us know. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of the quarter.